Welcome back to the story of the Huyen and Je family. After pressure from Je's ex-wife, who insisted on an equitable division of assets in their divorce, Huyen's family made the difficult decision to leave their old house behind and move to a new home. But, as often happens, problems soon arose. Their new house, which seemed like a chance for a fresh start, was rapidly deteriorating. The walls were riddled with cracks, the roof was on the verge of collapse, and most critically, they needed to build a new home to protect themselves from storms. However, the money they had was far from enough to cover the cost of construction materials. What would they do to raise the funds and build a safe home? The uncertainty was immense, but their determination was even greater. If you want to find out how this brave family overcomes this challenge, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. This morning, like every morning, Huyen woke up early, determined to finish the moving process. The house that had been her home for so long now felt empty, as if the memories were slowly fading between walls that could no longer hold their history. With each item she packed into boxes, a mix of nostalgia and hope filled her heart. Though the future was uncertain, she knew they were building something new, something better. While Huyen finished organizing the last details, Je sat outside on a bench, alone with his thoughts. The tension on his face was palpable, his mind caught between worry and helplessness. He took out his wallet and, with a deep sigh, began counting the little money he had left. In recent days, things had gone from bad to worse. Je couldn't work due to mounting problems, and their savings were quickly depleting. Every bill that passed through his hands felt like a reminder of how far they were from achieving the security they longed for. He looked at the money again, hoping it might somehow be enough to buy what they needed. He knew the house they had left behind, built from fresh bamboo, was no longer habitable. Termites had completely devoured it. Though it had once been a home filled with happy memories, only ruins remained. They needed to rebuild, and fast. But the materials required for a new house, especially seasoned bamboo essential for strength and durability, were expensive. The money they had wasn't even enough for half of what they needed. Staring at the money, Je couldn't help but feel defeated. He knew there was little he could do, yet something inside him kept fighting. He clutched the bills tightly, almost whispering to the wind, hoping they would somehow suffice. But as he thought about the future, a shadow of hopelessness fell over him. How would they manage to build a house if they couldn't even afford the essential materials? At that moment, Huyen appeared behind him, watching silently. Her heart broke seeing the sadness in Je's eyes. She understood his frustration, the pain of not being able to provide his family with the home they deserved, the anguish of having no control over their circumstances. But Huyen knew something Je hadn't yet considered. She, too, had the power to change their destiny, to fight for their family and their future. After a long silence, Huyen slowly approached Je. She looked into his eyes, and though worry lingered on her face, there was a spark of determination in her gaze. She had been thinking deeply about what they could do. She knew their money wasn't enough, but she also knew they couldn't give up. With a sigh, Huyen made a decision. She knew her family needed more than just hope, they needed action. She was ready to do whatever it took to secure what they needed, to give her children the future they deserved. How would Huyen help her family? How would they raise the money to build the home they so desperately needed? The answer was near, but Huyen knew they couldn't wait any longer. The time for action had come. With a heavy heart but unwavering resolve, Huyen took a small velvet box from her bag. Inside was a shining gold ring, the same one Je had given her during his marriage proposal in the South, a symbol of their love and a promise of a future together. At that moment, however, that symbol of hope felt heavier than ever. The future seemed uncertain, and though their love remained unchanged, the circumstances were undeniable. Je was exhausted and worried, and no matter how hard he tried to find a solution, the money was never enough. Building a new house felt like a distant dream, almost impossible without the right resources. Huyen watched her husband and saw the pain in his eyes, the suffering of not being able to provide her and their daughter with the home they deserved. It was then that Huyen, with a strength she didn't know she possessed, made a life-changing decision. She carefully took the ring from her purse and approached Je, who was sitting in a corner, lost in thought. With a gentleness only she could muster, she knelt before him and, without a word, offered him a small sum of money she had saved over months. She knew it wasn't much, but to her, it was everything she could give. "This is all I've managed to save," Huyen said in a firm but loving tone. "I know it's not much, but maybe it's enough to buy some materials. It's not everything we need, but I'll keep working and searching for more. We'll do whatever it takes." Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes reflected the resolve of a woman who wouldn't give up easily. Je looked at her silently, gratitude shining in his eyes, but also deep sadness, knowing she was sacrificing so much for him and their family. "Don't do this," he said. "Keep the money for yourself and Maya so you can live comfortably. I'm saving what I can, too, and we'll figure this out together. I don't want you to sacrifice your happiness for me." Despite his words, Huyen remained steadfast. She knew that while Je loved his family and wanted the best for them, he couldn't bear the burden alone. She couldn't stand by while he carried the weight of their situation. With a gentle gaze, Huyen insisted, "Don't worry, love. This money isn't just mine. It belongs to all three of us. What matters is that we're together, fighting for a better future. I don't want riches or grand things. My only wish is for us to have a small home where we can be at peace, where we can live without fear. That's what I want most, peace for us. The rest will come later." Huyen's words struck a chord in Je. In that moment, a weight lifted from his chest. Though their situation was far from easy, he knew that with her by his side, they could overcome any adversity. The challenges remained, but their shared love gave them the strength to keep going. That ring, once a symbol of an uncertain future, now represented the promise of a home, not just within the walls of a house, but in the heart of their family. Je realized their true wealth lay in having each other, supporting one another, and building together, no matter the obstacles. With a nostalgic smile, Huyen pulled the ring from her pocket and held it in her hands, looking at Je with a gaze only she could give. It was the same ring he had given her during their proposal in the south, a symbol of their love, a promise of a future that, though tested by time, remained sacred to them both. "Do you remember this ring, Je?" Huyen said, her voice trembling slightly. "This is the ring you gave me in the south. I know we need money to build our new house. This is the only thing I can offer right now. Sell it, please. Let's use it to get what we need." Je looked at her in disbelief, as if her words couldn't be true. He placed a hand over his heart, feeling it clench at the thought of Huyen sacrificing something so precious. With a firmness born of true love, he shook his head. "No, Huyen. I can't let you sell this ring. It's more than a jewel. It's a symbol of what we've shared. This ring represents everything I feel for you, my promise, my love. I don't want you to sell it because, no matter how hard things get, I want you to remember the love between us. We'll get through this together." The emotion in his eyes was so profound that Huyen couldn't help but be moved. She knew he was right. The ring wasn't just a jewel, it was the commitment and feelings that bound them together, a bond they couldn't break. They sat in silence for a moment, gazing at the ring in her hands, knowing the decisions ahead would be difficult but necessary. Finally, with a long sigh, Huyen nodded, accepting Je-'s decision. They would not sell the ring. Somehow, she knew that no matter what fate had in store, their love was what mattered most. With renewed determination and hearts full of hope, they began packing their belongings and preparing to move into their new home. Though the future was uncertain and filled with challenges, they knew that as long as they were together, they could face any obstacle. All they needed was each other and the hope of finding the stability they longed for. After much searching, they finally found the perfect plot of land to build their new home. They walked the site together, carefully observing the land. It was a wide space, full of possibilities but also challenges. Huyen knew they needed to measure and plan every detail precisely before starting construction. As she paced the land, she envisioned the layout of the house, each room designed for comfort. But one thing she knew was non-negotiable: a proper kitchen. "A kitchen is essential," Huyen said. "We need a small, practical space near the house, a place not just for cooking, but for the whole family to gather and feel at ease." J.E. nodded, pointing to the area where he planned to build it. Once they finalized the details, J.E. set off to purchase seasoned bamboo. He was determined to choose the best materials, knowing the quality of the bamboo was key to the home's stability and durability. At the supplier, he was impressed by the large, sturdy bamboo trunks, carefully treated to resist termite damage. He knew he couldn't settle for anything less than the best. This would be the home where they would live for a lifetime. J.E. examined each trunk meticulously, checking its thickness and strength, ensuring it could withstand the elements and protect his family. The selection process was long and thorough, as every choice would shape their future. After what felt like an eternity, he selected the perfect bamboo pieces and, with a sigh of relief, began transporting them home. Though there was still much to do, J.E. had taken a crucial step. With each bamboo log he carried, he felt a mix of pride and hope. He knew the work ahead was daunting, but seeing those materials, symbols of his effort and sacrifice, gave him the strength to continue. With every step, he thought of the future he was building for his family, a future where they could live safely and happily. With great effort, J.E. carried the bamboo logs to the garden. He knew this was just the beginning of many tasks to build the home they dreamed of, but his body was exhausted. Still, he couldn't afford to rest. The work ahead was critical. They needed to dig the foundation and drive the posts into the ground to ensure stability. These foundations, these first pillars, would support their future together. With unwavering determination, J.E. poured all his effort into the task. Meanwhile, Maya, always calm and understanding, approached J.E. with a container of fresh water. She knew he had been working tirelessly under the sun. With a shy smile, she handed him the water without a word. Maya understood what her brother needed, and her simple gesture showed the love and support she felt for him. It was her way of saying she was there, contributing to the effort despite her young age. Huyen and J.E. worked side by side, tape measures in hand, marking every inch with precision. They knew every step in this construction was vital, not just to build a house, but to create a home where they could find the peace and happiness they longed for. This land would be their refuge, the place where they would build their future together. Dreams of a better life took shape with each measurement, each frame they drew. They worked together, digging deep holes with their hands and souls focused on that dream. As fatigue set in, J.E. approached Huyen and, with a tender gesture, wiped the sweat from her forehead. "Go rest a little and cook for us," he said softly. "I'll take care of this." His simple, loving words echoed in the air. Huyen looked at J.E., seeing not only exhaustion in his eyes but also deep gratitude and affection. Despite his fatigue, he never stopped thinking about his family. With a tired but hopeful smile, J.E. said, "Tomorrow, a good friend of mine is coming to help us build the house faster. I've been thinking about how to improve everything, and though it won't be easy, I know we'll get there soon. I've also noticed you've been waking up with a cough lately, probably because of the termite damage in the old house. Don't worry, we'll finish the new house as soon as possible." Huyen felt a wave of relief hearing his words. She knew every day brought them closer to the stability they craved. But what truly made her smile was J.E.'s next remark. "I also want to build a small loft upstairs for Maya to have her own space. Plus, we're in an area with heavy rainfall, so we need to ensure the house is ready for any emergency, especially flooding. We need to be protected from the weather and anything else that might come." Huyen nodded, her heart full of gratitude. J.E.'s dreams went beyond building a physical home. He wanted a place where each family member had their own space, where their safety was paramount. The family gathered around the table, sharing a simple but loving meal. Though exhausted from the day's work, they were happy. They sat together, dreaming aloud about the future. Despite the challenges, they felt the worst was behind them, and their lives were beginning to turn for the better. With a smile, J.E. looked at his family and said firmly, "Let's do this together. Every sacrifice we make now will lead us to a better future. The effort is worth it." Huyen and Maya exchanged knowing glances, understanding that though the road ahead wouldn't be easy, their unity was their greatest strength. Now it's your turn. What do you think of their journey toward building their new home? What challenges do you think still await them? Leave your comments and best wishes for this family, who, despite everything, continues to fight for their happiness. See you soon, and don't forget to subscribe to follow this inspiring story.